runs during this 8-week process. I wanted to lead from the front because I understand the stress and the duress that comes from trying to catch up. As you see others ahead and you're like, damn it. Because I couldn't get through my own thoughts, through my own fears, through my own stories, now I'm seeing the people I was running with ahead of me. All right. Welcome to another episode of Mindset Mastery. I'm your host, AZ Araujo, and we're having a little bit of last-minute technical difficulties, but I think we got them all squared away. I want to thank you again for joining me. And today I have a killer episode, and the subject is you won't know until you do. You won't know until you do. And I'm going to see if these bad boys are working. It sounds like they are. All right. I was hearing a lot of echo earlier. And I want to go ahead and check in as you come on board. Check in. Let's see here. No audio. Is that still the case? We're good. Okay. Thank you for that. And if you can't hear me, please just let me know. Once again, I'm going to get into this, and I want to have my full undivided attention on the subject today. And I hope that you're coming into this to learn a few lessons, right? Learn a few lessons within your own experiences. And also just get fired up. Like, I am very fired up today, and I'm going to tell you why. This past Saturday, I finished and I completed the 100-mile challenge, 100 miles running. All right, I physically running the streets, not on a treadmill, but physically being out there and finishing up with my best time ever. And I finished up in 26:46. And that, at any age group, is pretty impressive. 4 miles really means that I'm just running through this thing. I'm not jogging. I'm not holding back. I am running. And I was able to finish that with Jesse Barca. And it was just a great honor to be able to do that. What was that? Music. Oh, there's music. Okay. And it really showcased to me what I'm capable of, right? Anytime that I put my mind into something, I know I'm going to accomplish that. And this was just another factor that solidified that thought for me, right? Being able to push through thresholds, being able to push through pain, being able to push through my own thoughts. And it was just simply amazing to me, right? And I'm not trying to compare myself to others that have done great things. I think everyone has their own story. And I think we could diminish that at the moment we start comparing our stories to somebody else. So anytime you go after something, I want you to be very proud of what you've accomplished. If you hit thresholds in your business where you have more money in the bank, I want you to celebrate that, right? And realize you have more to do, but I don't want you to compare it to the next person and say, well, they have a lot more. Because now you're taking that positivity and cloaking it with negativity of saying, well, this person did better than I did. And I think we tend to do that. And I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to celebrate what we've done. Okay, and much like many of you right now, what you're doing right now in business, go ahead and celebrate that for yourself, regardless of who's doing better or worse. If it's your personal best, it's something to be proud of. So let me go ahead and recap what just occurred. So we did 100 miles, and we started on, I believe, is March 21st. And this wasn't the intention, right, of doing 100 miles after this run. We all just put it out there on our social group here within AZ and Associates, and we said, hey, we're going to run 4 miles on tomorrow, I think was the post, and this was March 21st. So we had a lot of people show up, and that was just going to be it. We were going to run 4 miles. And somehow along that whole running process, it occurred to me that maybe it'd be a good thing to do 100 miles. I don't know why. I don't know why it even popped into my head. And I'll tell you what, I learned to regret it many times during the next several weeks, right? Why did I say this 100-mile challenge? Especially when we were so far away, right? I was so motivated the first few runs. And then after like the 5th run, I was like, what the hell am I doing? I still have 80 more miles left. My legs are aching. I'm hurting. I'm too old. Like, this is not fun anymore. And there's a lot of similarities between physical challenges and business challenges. And that's why I continue to put myself out there physically. Because whatever I'm able to mold myself to on the physical side, I could bring that easily over to the business side. And that reminded me of how many times we're so excited about certain things in our business where things are just progressing nicely. And all of a sudden we hit these walls and we're like, why? Why am I even in this situation? Why did I decide to quit my job? Why did I go this route? Much like I was after the mile number 20. I was like, what the hell am I doing? And my times, reflected that, my mindset. My times reflected how discouraged I was at times. Where at first I was so excited and I saw my times just getting better and better and better till hitting that wall and say, what? Why? Why am I doing this? I hated just getting up in the morning and coming in. I was dreading it. It was a chore. That excitement just dissipated. How many times has that happened for you where you're so excited about your business, things are going good until we lose that one deal and then we're like, everything's a chore. We hate everyone. Our clients are a problem. Our spouses are a problem. The title company. Like everyone sucks. Because of the mindset, right? Because things are not going the way we want it. But before I go on, before I move forward, I want to go ahead and give a big salute, right, to some of those individuals, to the individuals that actually finished with me. And I want to start off with Jesse Abarca, and there's just so many lessons. I encourage you to even talk to them because each one of these individuals had their own journey to overcome. 100 miles is not easy. It's not. Going out there and just pushing ourselves and shattering the stories of we're not runners to now being like, I ran 100 miles. I mean, that's huge in 8 weeks, right? That's big. But Jesse, just seeing it from the outside, I'll tell you what kind of lessons I learned from them. I learned that Jesse, learned to be a leader. He came out of the gate just in the front. And there were so many times that he wanted to kind of like not give up, but not go so hard, right? But realizing that he has to continue to show that leadership at all points. There's great responsibility with being a leader. Much. He came out of the fire just going, and he had reps under him. He was prepping for the Ironman. So as I would see him 1 mile ahead of me, it was a little discouraging, right? Just seeing him there, constantly ahead. So he had his own obstacles to overcome in being that leader. Like anytime you rise up in your business and hit new thresholds, a new standard of life, it puts a lot of pressure on you. Like you have to operate at this level on a daily basis. You can't just take it easy. You can't take a day off because there's people right behind you that are trying to catch you. And we're going to get into that a little more. And I'll set that up by simply saying you either got more market share right now or you didn't. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. So I want you to stay tuned. Do not go anywhere. I also want to give a big thumbs up to Rio finishing, hating the run. And realizing that somebody else's best is not his best. This entire time, he was always pacing off somebody. Until he realized, wait, how about I go into my own darkness, to my own pains, and not just put myself as the standard of somebody else, but pushing through that thought process that you need somebody in front of you to set the pace for you. Not realizing the entire time you were holding yourself back. I think that was a lesson for many of us during this time frame. It was for me a few times. And then my sister, Nilsa, she came out. She didn't start with us, but she finished with us. She was determined not to be left behind. She was doing the work behind the scenes, finding the time, right? And that's like for us, for many of us as business owners, that's our main excuse. I don't have the time. I don't have the time to work out. I don't have the time to do this, that, or the other. But she saw people within her realm that were moving along. The last thing she wanted to do was to be left behind. I think that's a bad feeling right there. Realizing that you have an opportunity to stay up, but you choose not to. Not because you're incapable, but because your thoughts alone stopped you. So big ups to her for doing the work behind the scenes and then joining us. It almost like halfway through, she joined us where she was on our runs on a consistent basis. But when she wasn't, she was doing it. Either 11 o'clock in the morning or in the afternoon. It didn't matter. She was getting it done. And then Madeline. like from my perspective, like this woman came out like a beast as well. From this meek, and please don't take this the wrong way, from this meek and really nice person to seeing like that dog in her, right? That beast in her, that fighter in her, and completing this with us. Then there's Rudy. You know, always being the first one to show up in our parking lot. Not the first one to finish, I'll tell you that, but the first one in our parking lot. And, you know, but he brought another level of consistency to himself. And I think it has a direct impact to what he's doing in his business. He's killing it. But more than that, it's what he's doing for his son, who also joined us. Caleb, only 10 years old. 10 years old, and he's out here with us. Like, he doesn't realize. I don't know many 10-year-olds that are doing 100 miles. This kid did it because he saw dad. And I'll tell you what, I mean, there was a couple times that he didn't make it out, but he made up for it. He ran alone, and he got it done because he didn't want to be left behind. Then there's Wendy, who before joining the brokerage was watching from afar, wanted to be part of this group, wanted to be part of this organization. And the invitation was also sent to her. And her excuse was like, well, I have knee problems. I don't know if I can make it out. But she made it out once. And then she made it out again and again and again. And then she realized, hey, this story of my knee problems are no longer existent. I can do this. And she took it upon herself to also put in the work behind the scenes. And she finished right along with us. And these are stories that I think all of us are capable of if we choose. It can be in the challenges you bring to yourself physically, or the challenges you bring onto yourself in your business. This is all within your realm. And I'm going to tell you something, it's not always easy. And you will hit walls. I mean, I remember getting beat by Caleb, the 10-year-old, like the first 3 runs. I was like, what the hell? This dude's 10 years old. Why is he beating me? But then I also realized I have more within me. I have to find my stride. And not only did I beat my own personal records, but as I was able to catch up to the gazelle himself, Mr. Jesse Abarca. And we did our best time this last run at 26:46. I mean, that's impressive. I even got a thumbs up from other Ironmen that said, wow, that's fast. That makes me feel good, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm shattering stories, and I'm making myself stronger, and that was the whole point of this. Going into this pandemic, not wanting to fear. And I love what Rudy said, right? I don't want to be that person that was projecting fear, and that's why I did it. Understand, when you project fear, you also bring fear upon others, onto others, especially if you're the leader in the household. If you're cowering, if you're afraid, if you stop doing what made you successful to begin with, what do you think you're showing your family? And he didn't want to project that. And he wanted to align his certainty by running on a consistent basis, and his business followed suit. But with anything, there's excitement, and there's always also these challenges that we have to overcome. And some of you may be facing these challenges because you did take your foot off the pedal a little bit over these last 8 weeks. Because there was a lot of uncertainty, and everywhere you hear, you had good reason to. And right now, you either have more market share or you don't. And for those of you that do, that means you didn't let up. That even though the fear was equal to all of us, you were able to overcome. And some of you are hurting, are not seeing those escrows in place. Some of you know that you're not going to be closing any deals here in the next 30 to 60 days. Now you're going to have to work harder. And it's a lot harder to catch up than just to stay up. And you can have those conversations even with those individuals that didn't make it out a couple times during this time frame, where they had to make up their 4 miles or their 8 miles. It's tough. It hurts more. But it's doable. Because if you don't, you will be left behind. If you do, you will see others pass that checkpoint as you're spectating from behind, wishing you would have done what you should have done during this time frame. This is not the time to do that. This is time to say, okay, I screwed up. I have to get back on my game. And you're going to have to work twice as hard as the individuals that decided not to stop. And it's tough. And that's why I didn't want to miss any runs during this 8-week process. I wanted to lead from the front because I understand the stress and the duress that comes from trying to catch up. As you see others ahead and you're like, damn it. Because I couldn't get through my own thoughts, through my own fears, through my own stories, now I'm seeing the people I was running with ahead of me. I get how that feels. And it's not like you can't make it up, but it's the stress and duress that we carry trying to catch up. And right now the results are black and white. You either have more market share from when the pandemic started, or you have less. And if you have less, there's things that you did less of. There's no other way to paint this. You can blame it on 101 different things, but it's less things that you did during this time frame. Now it's time to catch up, and it's going to suck. Guys, it's going to suck. I realize this. But with every decision, there's a reward or there's a consequence. With every decision, there's a reward or consequence. And some of you are reaping the rewards. Having your best months ever during the pandemic. That's impressive. Thumbs up to you. Congratulations. Don't take it easy. Because right behind you, there's those people that made those mistakes. That realized maybe I did take my foot off the pedal. They're coming for you. Now it's going to be of the fight of who wants it more. And the only one who could determine that is you. But as we sit right now, one of two things. You came out stronger or you didn't. And if you didn't, it's going to be a hard road up. But it's doable because I saw it myself. Even during this run, there was people that were behind 8 miles that had to make it up. 12 miles that had to make it up. I'm sure it sucked. I know it sucked because I saw their face. I saw the burdens. I saw the stresses. Knowing the entire time they were behind. That sucks. And it gets me to think like what it takes for those of you right now that maybe didn't gain that market share. They're going to have to play that catch up. Imagine that if you stayed consistent this entire time. Imagine that you didn't let up on your marketing, on your follow-up. Imagine that you didn't let up on providing more value on a consistent basis. Then you decided to go hard. The same amount of energy that you're now doing trying to catch up. Imagine if you just stayed where you were. And then you decided, I'm going to go even harder. Do you know how far you would get? And it's all within you. Because many of you are playing catch up, the same type of energy that is going to take to get to even that threshold to get back to where you were. Imagine if you were doing that the entire time and you came with that same energy of trying to catch up to trying to grow even more. You'd be so far ahead. And you have it within you because you're going to demonstrate that as you try to catch up here in the next few weeks. Now that everybody has this new confidence that the economy's back, these restrictions have been lifted. when you decide to stay up, new possibilities open up for you. When you fall behind, not only is it tough to realize that I could have been up there, but just the thought of it on a consistent basis weighs you down. And energetically, it's going to drain you. It's going to be so tough. It's going to be tough on yourself, on your family. So just be prepared for that. Have those conversations. And you're only one of two places. Again, you're either better or you're not. So for those of you that are not, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Now, this is what I decided to do because I understand the burdens of trying to catch up. And there was one day where I almost didn't make it. But I showed up and I used that to get my best times ever. As a matter of fact, there was one day I didn't make it. And I decided to go the very next day after that. Because I had to, we went to the lake with the family. But the very next day, I decided, okay, I didn't make it with the group, but I'm going to come back hard. The very next day. I didn't want this to linger on me. Because I'll tell you what, even at the lake, I was like, damn it. I'm 4 miles behind these guys that showed up today. I don't like that. I don't like the feeling. And I had my best time up to that time. By myself, like leading. Not having Jesse lead from the front, but me leading at that point, right? Jesse was not there. That broke a new threshold for me. If I can do that alone, maybe I can stay up with Jesse. Maybe he's feeling the same pains that I am. The only problem is he's able to push through it and keep going. I would fall behind. But that one day I decided that I was the leader, right? Because Jesse wasn't around. He did it the day before. It opened up a new horizon for me. And that prepared me for the final run. Because from that point, that was the first time that I broke 28 minutes. The following run, when Jesse was back, we did 27:30 together. And that's the beauty of realizing and shattering your stories. Because I too was under the story that he was always going to be half mile ahead. Until I was left in my own space. And I realized I can push myself harder. And my runs went like this. Like, on the first 5 runs, I hit 29, all below 30, right? I was excited. And then the 5 runs after that were between 28:50 and 29:50. And then here's the thing, like I think we all hit this wall. Because for the next 11 runs, I could not get under the 30-minute mark. After beating that, starting out great, why was I retracting? Why was I going backwards? But I wasn't. My body was recovering. It was building itself. I was developing a pain tolerance. I remember when I hit my first under 28, which was that time that I ran alone. And then 27:30 with Jesse. And then the next 4 runs, I wanted to let my body recover. And we ran 30-minute miles. That used to be like a stressful situation for me, right? To hit under that 30, we were constantly between 29 and 30. Until my final run, where I did 26:46. It feels good. And the only way to find that is to remain consistent. To allow that voice to guide you, to keep going, not to stop. And I was very, very intentional on my last run because I'm used to hearing my earphones or music on. I would play the music on my phone. But on the last run, I said, I am going to get my best time, and I'm going to be in my own head. I'm not going to allow any music to just try to distract me. I am going to feel every inch of this pain, of this new milestone that I'm trying to set for myself. I just want to be up here. I want to battle myself. I want to remember every aspect of this. I want to hear my breath. I want to hear the thoughts that are telling me to slow down. Because when you think about this, it's when we're all alone that we have the darkest thoughts. It's when your business gets too tough that you're in here. So if you're conditioning yourself during this stressful time, guess what it's going to do for me here in my business now, in my life in general? I am going to know how to navigate through these pains with zero distractions. And I did a lot of reflecting during this entire time. And many times was thinking about the anguish I put myself through, my family through. The pains from before, my experiences, but also my wins. I remember the times that I set these goals and I've overcome and how that felt. That kept pushing me forward. I was thinking about the painful past, but also my successful pasts and where I am today and where I want to go. Those were the thoughts that were constantly being played in my mind over and over and over again. And we forget that sometimes. Why? Well, there's so many distractions out there for us that we don't have time to reflect on the good, the bad, the ugly, the painful. All these are motivators. The good is a motivator. The bad, the ugly, the painful, they're all motivators. If we choose to look at that and be in that place. But it's easier to go here. And compare. It's easier to compare. It's easier to beat ourselves up. But I wanted to be in that place alone. And there was just so many moments that I was just got lost in those thoughts. And maybe that's what you do today. As you look at your numbers and you're not where you could have been or should have been, maybe you take this time to reflect your accomplishments, to reflect the pains. That's where I gained strength from. And I kept pushing and I kept going forward. I would lean my body forward, remembering what it took to recover from surgeries. That's the most painful part. It's not the actual surgery. You don't remember the surgery. It's the recovery. Not being able to use my right hand. Not feeling my fingers. Having to learn how to write with my left hand in my senior year in high school. Having flesh just being visible to me, like just looking at it, looking at this disformed arm and the duress that it does and how it affects a 17-year-old kid. That's what I was remembering. Writing essays with my left hand. Hell yeah, that fueled me. Hell yeah, I was going to keep going. Hell yeah, I was going to break records. How could you not? You're feeling in a tough spot right now. I need you to reflect. Get yourself out of that story. Absolutely killed it. Now it was a decision that I was going to come out stronger. And I said it. Not only did I come out stronger, I came out a beast. And now you have to decide, wherever you're at right now, how big of a beast you'll be. I love seeing where we're at, and I love the fact that our brokerage has gained market share during this time. And it's because of individuals like you that decided not to hide, not to completely shut down during this time. We got more work to do. And if you did, a bit, you got double the work to do. But it's all within your realm. So think about that. When you start feeling those thresholds, I want you to think about more painful situations. You'll laugh at whatever you're going through right now. If you think it's tough with the money you have in your bank, I want you to go back a few years. Think about that. You'll laugh at whatever situation you're in right now. And that's what really pushed me. It was awesome just to be in my own head and being able to just like looking for things to motivate me. Painful moments that others would just hide and suppress. I wanted that. That was firing me up. That was fueling me. Because whatever you're going through right now pales in comparison to whatever you've been through. So we remember the good, the bad, the ugly, and the painful. So big ups again to Jesse, Rio, Nilsa, Madeline, Rudy, Caleb, and Wendy. And we're going to come up with another one, and I invite you guys to participate. We don't know yet. And guess what I did today? I went back to what I know. I went and worked out knowing that this is what builds me. And at 41, I feel stronger than ever, which is insane, right? I can't believe I actually did what I did, and it's a milestone for me, and I'm going to be very proud of it. So, a couple things. Again, just think about this because I want you to come up with an immediate game plan. Did you gain market share or did you lose market share during this time? So if you lost market share, if your escrows are not where they need to be, if your closings are not where they should be, you have a lot of work to do. I don't want you to sit and regret. I want you just to go out there like a beast. Double up your Facebook marketing, your Instagram marketing, your follow-ups. Just be very intentional about that. And if you gain market share, just know that these people that lost market share are going to be right at your heels. So there is no letting up. There is no celebrating. We go hard. But I want to hear from you. And I see quite a few people on here, and I want to thank you again for joining me. Claudia, Teresa, Ruth, Beatrice, Jermaine, I know you're on this 100-mile in 30 days. So that is that is cutting down a complete month to try to hit your challenge. Dude, you got this, man. Rudy was part of this group. Roger Wright, Celia, Michelle, good morning. Isabel, Dominique, Isela, David, Audra. I want to thank you all. Angela, how's it going? Maria, Teresa, Liz, Cindy, Doralee, and Gabe. But I do have some feedback here. I want to get to that. Good morning, Vanessa. Good morning, Gabe. Congratulations to you on this huge accomplishment. Thank you. I mean, the story has completely been shattered. I'm a runner. I'm a fast runner. And I did something very unique this time around. I've been hearing about this, and I want to make one quick little reminder lesson for all of us here. I think we've all heard how ice can really help your body, right? Ice baths. And especially after pushing yourself to a new level, it is recommended you take an ice bath. Well, I heard this for years. I've heard it. I've seen other people do it. My daughter does it, but I never made it my own. as soon as this run was over, I did an ice bath of 160 pounds of ice. I think I overdid it with ice. And I put it in this big tub, and I got in. And I'm going to tell you this. It was not pleasurable whatsoever. It felt like I felt okay after the run. I wasn't completely aching. But as soon as I got into the ice bath, every muscle started to ache. I mean, it felt like I was doing the complete opposite. But I think what was happening is it was really just escalating the time frame, right? Like really going through warp speed. Like the recovery was going through warp speed during this time. Because when I iced it, it felt like all the pains were just elevated to another level. And then after that, I felt great. So if I didn't do this, I know I would be lingering from the pains for a few days there, because it happened a few times. But the ice really helped. And I wish I would have known this, right? I did know this. I just didn't buy into it. Just like many of you know what it takes to be successful, but we haven't fully bought into it. But every person that I've talked to that has hit great milestones in their business, including Rudy, like this guy got the top agent for the month of April. It was the consistency that got him there. And we all hear this every day: consistency on social media marketing, consistency on following up. But we disregard it. And that's why I wanted to name this, You Won't Know Until You Do. See, I didn't realize how beneficial ice was to my body. It helps me recover. So I would rather go through the pains of not knowing, pretending I didn't know, doubling up on Tylenol and Advil, wondering the entire time, why is my body hurting so much? Well, if I would have iced myself afterwards each and every time, I wouldn't have gone through that. So if you're wondering why the business is not where it needs to be, think about consistency. Think about the 3 posts that are required every day, the 6 stories that are required on Instagram, the follow-up, the text messages. Just consider that. That may be the answer to all your pains, all your ills. But again, you won't know until you do. That 160 pounds of ice was beautiful to my body. It was God sent. I felt great. Jesse reached out. He's like, hey, how you feeling? I'm like, man, I haven't felt better. The 2 times prior to that, when I beat my old records, I was hurting for days. As a matter of fact, and I don't do this often, I went home on one of those days because the pain was intolerable. And that cost me production. So consider that consistency will allow you to get where you need to be. And you hear this all the time, just like I heard ice baths all the time. Try it. Rudy, I remember waking up and getting to HQ to meet with everyone. And we're all saying we have such a long way to go. Once we got closer to halfway to our goal, everyone's mindset changed. It really did. Everyone was more excited about getting closer and closer to hitting our goal. It was all downhill from there. It really was. I mean, think about this. Like going out there and realizing you still have like 84 miles left, 96 miles left, 72 miles. It seems like you're never going to get there. And then the tide changes. Now you have more miles under your belt than you have left. And I love it. Great reminder of that. There's so many lessons during this time. Self-inflicted pain. Jesse Abarca. Nilsa showing up. I love it. Lily. Yep, I'm back at the gym. Day 1 sucks. And right now I want to keep my momentum with having clients. Thank you. Yes. So important, Lily. And the gyms are back open. And hey, listen, like some of us have to do a lot more to try to catch up. And it's got to get done. Jesse, AZ, lined up next to me on every start of the race. So, I'm like that stubborn dude, because Jesse would even look at me like, what are you doing? I'm running 5 minutes faster than you. Why are you trying to line up against me? I don't know. I think I'm just, I don't know where I was at. But I felt like I needed to be at that level. And I'll tell you what, Jesse, you served as an inspiration for me. being able to lead and lead in a massive way. Like you could have easily led where you're only 30 seconds ahead of us or a minute ahead of us, but you decided to like go in all the way in. And even during that time, I would line up next to him, and within the first mile, he would leave me behind. But I felt like that's where I wanted to be. And, you know, I mentioned earlier how Wendy, you know, saw us from afar. She wasn't even a realtor yet. And she lined up with us as well. And there's so many lessons. And it doesn't matter your ability. There's always going to be those that are just greater at certain things. But your job is to line up. Line up with the people that you want to be with and align yourself with. And mimic. I wanted to mimic him. So I was like, okay, I want to line up where you're at. So I wonder why he did, because I would leave him quickly. In 8 weeks, this man willed himself mentally and physically to shorten the gap and to actually cross the finish line next to me on our last 4 miles. And his and mine personal best record. I have a ton of respect for you as you just continue to lead by example. I appreciate you, Jesse. And again, I mean, you served as a huge inspiration. And but I think that's all our responsibility is to line up. And such a great analogy, man, in reminding all of us that. Sergio, the last 8 weeks in business, I have built a new threshold for myself, and it hurts, a good hurt, bringing out the dog in me that I will have to keep working at. I was so simple to justify not getting up and going to the office because everyone else is home, etc. I can sit here and look in the mirror and confidently say I took others' market share. And that's a beautiful feeling. Because if you're growing your business during this time, it is you took market share. Be proud of that. Rudy, we are gaining a lot of positive attention as a brokerage through action, consistency, hard work, and just being raw and real. I've had so many people reach out because of the actions you're all taking. So I want to thank you for that. I gained market share. Lily, awesome. But I'll go ahead and end that with this. And I'm glad you brought that up, Jesse. We all have to put ourselves in a position to win. And I think many people just didn't join us because they felt embarrassed that they couldn't stay up or run with us. And the reality is this was your own personal challenge. This was your own personal journey. And if we approach life at always comparing ourselves to what somebody else is doing, we're always going to lose. And in this case, if you just put yourself in the race, it's amazing where you take yourself, your business, your mindset. And it's all about you. So again, I want you guys to go out there and kill it and just ask yourself, did I gain or did I lose? And you know exactly what you need to do moving forward. Guys, thank you again for joining us for another episode of Mindset Mastery. And I will talk to you soon. Have a great day, everyone.